Hey, beautiful people, welcome to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome to the corner of the YouTube where we don't sugarcoat life. Today, we are diving into something that's been eating me for weeks. It's been eating me up. You know those phrases people say that are supposed to make you feel better? The ones that sound all wise and spiritual and motivational? Yeah. We need to talk about some of those because here's the thing. I've been on the receiving end of some of these, and let me tell you, they hit different when you're actually going through it. Like, thanks, Mary, but telling me everything happens for a reason when I've just lost my job isn't the spiritual awakening you think it is. This isn't about dragging anyone. We've said all things, we've said, we've all said things with good intentions, but intention doesn't always equal impact. You know that. So let's unpack these 10 phrases that sound sweet but can actually be harmful. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be side eyeing half of the motivational posts on your Instagram feed. So if this resonates with you, hit that like button and let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the big one. Everything happens for a reason. Hmm. I cannot tell how many times I've heard this one, especially when life gets tough. And look, I get it. Sometimes you need to find meaning in chaos. But here's the thing, this is where it gets problematic. Picture this, your friend just went through a miscarriage, or someone parent died suddenly, or maybe they just got diagnosed with some chronic illness, and you walk in with the don't worry, everything happens for a reason. They will knock your head. Even if they don't do it physically, they will do it in their head. Like, what's the reason? What lesson justifies that pain? You're essentially telling someone that their suffering is part of some grand plan, which puts this weird pressure on them to find a silver lining because instead of just grieving. Sometimes bad things happen because life is unpredictable and unfair, period. And that's okay to acknowledge. Let people feel their feelings without having to justify them as part of some cosmic curriculum. Just be grateful. Oh, this one makes my eye twitch. Don't get me wrong. Gratitude is powerful. I practice it daily, but using it to shut down someone's legitimate struggles, that's toxic positivity at its finest. Imagine I was telling a friend about how stressed I was about rent, like genuinely worried about making ends meet. And she goes, "At least you have a roof over your head. Just be grateful." Excuse me? I can be grateful for my apartment and stressed about affording it. They are not mutually exclusive. Okay? So it's like telling someone who is drowning, at least you are not on fire, okay? But they are still drowning. You can acknowledge what you have while still working towards what you need. When we tell people to just be grateful, we are basically saying your problems aren't valid because someone else has it worse. But pain isn't a competition, it's not sufferhead Olympics. Your struggles matter regardless of who might have it worse. A better approach could be, I hear you, that sounds really tough. How can I support you? That wasn't so hard, was it? Phrase three, if you want it bad enough, you will make it happen. Hmm. This one is giving major pull up yourself by bootstraps energy, and we need to retire it immediately. Because if you want it bad enough, you make it happen. Really? Tell that to someone dealing with chronic depression who wants to start a business but some days can barely get out of bed. Or tell that to a student who can barely afford to pay their school fees, nor eat. I used to believe this phrase. If I wanted I thought if I just wanted my YouTube channel to grow badly enough, if I just hustle harder, it would happen. But when it didn't happen as fast as I wanted, I blamed myself. I must not want it enough. I must not be working hard enough. But here's the reality check. Wanting something and working towards it matters, quite alright, but it's not the only factor. There is privilege, there is timing, there is mental health, there is family circumstances, there is systematic barriers. And this phrase erases the complexity of human experience and puts all the blame on the individual when things don't work out. That is not motivation, my sister. That's not motivation, bro. That's emotional manipulation. The fourth one, we all have the same 24 hours. Girl, bye. I just want to go right now. Bye. This one gets me heated because usually said by someone who clearly has never had to choose between sleep and a second job. Yes, technically, we all have 24 hours in a day. But let's break it down. What those 24 hours actually look like for different people. Person A wakes up in their own bedroom, has a nanny, drop the kids at private school, works from their home office, has a housekeeper, orders meals delivered, has a personal trainer or whatever that comes to their home. Person B wakes up at 5 a.m. to catch two buses to their first job, picks up kids from school, helps with homework while cooking dinner, does laundry at night, studies for their certification after the two kids are asleep. Same 24 hours, yeah? Technically, yes. Same resources, same support system, and energy levels? Absolutely not. When we say we all have the same 24 hours, we're ignoring the massive differences in circumstances, resources, and support systems. It's like saying we all have the same ingredients, but we don't. Instead of judging how people spend their time, maybe we should ask how we can create more equitable access to resources and support. That's just a thought anyway. The fifth phrase is money will make you happy. Okay, let's be real about this one. Money will make you happy. This is usually said by people who has never had to choose between paying rent and buying food. Like, I'm not even saying money solves everything. Rich people have problems too. I get that. But let's compare problems for a second. You are rich and sad. Can be like, I'm depressed, but at least I can afford to go on a vacation or therapy, take time off work, hire helps with daily tasks, or have a support system. Why the poor and sad? I am depressed and I can't afford therapy, can't take time off work without losing my job, can't afford help, and I'm too exhausted to maintain relationships. Both are struggling, but one has significantly more resources to address that struggle. Money might not buy happiness, but it sure as hell buys therapy and mental health support, time when you are substance, healthcare, education, safety and security, options and choices, and some certain level of freedom. When I was a poor student, I could barely afford to pay school fees. Someone told me this phrase, and I was like in my mind, have you ever been happy and broke? You can't relate because money is not your problem. Because I've been sad and broke. Financial stress is real stress. Let's stop pretending like it doesn't matter. And the sixth phrase, hard work always pays off. This one hits differently when you've worked hard and still ended up struggling. Like you can see this around you everywhere. Hard work often pays off. In what world? For who? Because I know plenty people who work incredibly hard and are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. Hard work matters, absolutely, but it's not the only factor in success. There is also access to opportunities, timing, luck, networking and connections, systemic barriers, and privileges, market conditions, health and family circumstances. I've seen people work incredibly hard and still stay stuck because they didn't have the right connections. I've seen others work moderately hard but succeed because they had family support or they came from wealth. This phrase puts all the responsibility on the individual and ignores the complex systems that actually determine outcomes. It's used to justify inequality by suggesting that anyone who isn't successful just isn't working hard enough. Let's acknowledge that hard work is important while also recognizing that success requires a combination of effort, opportunity, and sometimes pure luck. And this next phrase actually makes people to miss out on important things. If it's meant to be, it will be. This one sounds all spiritual, but it's actually kind of dangerous. If it's meant to be, it will be. I bought into this mindset for years, and then I didn't get the job. It wasn't meant to be. Relationship ended. It wasn't meant to be. Opportunities passed by me. It was not written in the stars. But here's what I've realized: this phrase can make you passive in your own life because you're supposed to be an active participant. It suggests that you should just sit back and let the universe decide your fate. But sometimes, what's meant to be requires your active participation. For example, I had a crush on someone for months. I kept thinking, if he's meant to be, they will make a move. And guess what? Nothing happened because I was waiting for fate to handle my love life instead of, actually communicating like an adult. Or career wise, I wanted to work at a specific company, but thought if it's meant to be, they'll reach out to me or somehow, I will work there. They didn't because they even had no idea I existed. Sometimes things are meant to be because you make them happen. You speak up, you take action, you set boundaries, you pursue opportunities that be pursue. I don't even know what I'm saying, but you get it. Faith needs your participation. This phrase can also be used to avoid taking responsibility. Didn't work out, wasn't meant to be. But maybe it didn't work out because you didn't put in the efforts or communicate clearly or even make the necessary changes. Think about that. Balance is key. Be open to how things unfold while also being an active participant in your own life. The eighth phrase is God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. But when you really think about it, this phrase is basically saying that suffering is a reward for your strength. The more you can handle, the more will be given to you to handle. That doesn't sound like love. That sounds like punishment. I've heard this said to people dealing with probably chronic illness, maybe mental health struggles, financial hardships, family tragedies, abuse and trauma, and it puts this weird pressure on them to be grateful for their pain or see it as an evidence of their strength. It's crazy. Like maybe they are not strong soldiers. Maybe they are just human beings who are hurting and need support. And this risk can also prevent people from seeking help. If their suffering is a proof of their strength, then asking for help might feel like admitting they are weak. So it glorifies struggles instead of promoting healing and support. Some people are going through tough times, not because they are strong enough to handle it, but because life is unpredictable sometimes and unfair. That's how it is. They are not chosen for suffering. They're just human beings who deserve compassion and support. So instead of telling someone that is strong soldier, why not try? This is really hard and you don't have to go through it alone. How can I support you? That sounds better, right? Then the ninth phrase, this one is particularly disgusting because it's used to shame women. You attract what you are. I've heard this thrown at women so many times and it's always victim blaming wrapped up in fake wisdom. Some examples of how this gets weaponized is a woman gets harassed by a creepy guy, and then people go like, well, you attract what you are. Maybe look at your own energy. Woman dates someone who turns out to be toxic. You attract what you are. You must have some toxic traits too. Woman gets unwanted attention. You attract what you are. What were you putting on out there? What were you putting out there? This phrase puts the responsibility for other people's behavior on the woman. Like, if a man is being disrespectful or predatory, somehow that's a reflection of who she is. Make it sense. I've literally seen this used to tell women that they need to watch their lifestyle when they are dealing with unwanted advances, as if dressing a certain way, going out with friends, or being confident means they are attracting harassment. It's gross. Here's the reality: you don't attract disrespectful people because you are disrespectful. Sometimes you attract them because you are kind and they think you won't set boundaries. Sometimes you attract them because you are successful and they want to bring you down. Sometimes you attract them because they are predators who target anyone they can. Other people's behavior is about them, not about you. A woman living her life confidently isn't attracting problematic men. Problematic men are just problematic, nothing else. So, and the last but not the least on this list, you are too pretty to be single. Hmm. What does this even mean? Like, is there a prettiness threshold for relationships? Like, do ugly people just automatically get partnered up? Like, they instantly get married or have a boyfriend because they're ugly? Is someone being single some kind of punishment for not being attractive enough? This phrase is problematic on so many levels. First, it reduces your self worth to your appearance, as if the only reason someone would want to be with you is because of how you look. What about your personality, your values, your goals, your sense of humor? Second, it implies that being single is inherently bad or wrong. Maybe someone is single by choice. You should consider that. Maybe they are focusing on their career, their mental health, their family, or maybe they are healing from a past relationship. Or maybe they just haven't found the right person yet. Third, it puts pressure on people to be in relationships for the wrong reasons. Like, if you're too pretty to be single, then you better find someone quick before people start wondering what is wrong with you. I've been single for various periods in my life, and I've heard this phrase so many times. It's always made me feel worse, not better. Like as if there is something wrong with me for not being in a relationship. Even when I was genuinely happy being single. Your relationship status is not a reflection of your worth, your attractiveness, or your desirability. You are not too anything to be single. You are just living your life on your own terms. And honestly, being single can be amazing too. Get to know yourself, pursue your interests, build friendships, and create a life that's entirely yours. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we've unpacked 10 phrases that sound wise but can actually be harmful. And look, I'm not saying everyone who says this thing is trying to hurt you. Most people have good intentions, but impact matters more than intention. If you have ever had one of those said to you, I see you, I've been there too. These phrases have been thrown at me more than times than I can count, and some of them really messed with my head for a while. But here's what I've learned: words have power, the things we say to each other matter, and sometimes the most loving thing we can do is to just listen instead of trying to fix or philosophize. So, next time someone is going through something tough, maybe skip the motivational quotes and just show up with your presence and compassion. Ask, how can I help? Acknowledge their pain. Let them know they are not alone. So now I'd like to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these phrases has hit you wrong before. Let's start a conversation about how we can support each other better. And if this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more real talk content. I'm trying to build a community of people who aren't afraid to question status quo and have honest conversations about life. Bye.